Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric. We have a very interesting video concept today, as we are creating the ultimate Six Flags roller coaster lineup by taking one roller coaster from each park in the chain. A little while back, Spaggeti Jeff commented, "I want to see someone build a park with one coaster from every Six Flags or Cedar Fair park." So I'm going to be doing that with Six Flags parks. I have not personally been to every Cedar Fair park, but I've been to all Six Flags parks except for Mexico. So what will I be doing for this lineup? There are three main things I'm focused on: having a lot of great roller coasters, having a well-rounded lineup, meaning there's still some good family stuff, and a variety of different models, and it's not all just RMCs or similar. And I also wanted the escalation to be good. By that I mean, I want somebody who's getting into roller coasters for the first time to be able to go on smaller roller coasters and work their way up in thrill levels to some extent. This was one of the hardest things to put together for me, because taking one from each park and excluding so many was really tough. And it might seem weird as I go through this, but by the end, I think you will find that this roller coaster lineup is among the best Six Flags could possibly have. Also, I should note, I'm not going to be taking into account terrain, or names, or anything else. I'm just kind of naming the roller coasters I would put in, as if it was totally possible to put all of these roller coasters in the same place. Let's begin. What roller coaster is repping Six Flags Magic Mountain? I feel this is a good one to start with, because many consider it the best Six Flags park. So you're wondering, am I having Twisted Colossus or X2 as the top attraction maybe? Actually no. Tatsu is repping Magic Mountain. The main reason I chose Tatsu is because I feel that not only is it one of the best in the park, it's one of the best B&Ms in the chain. And I wanted to have a good collection of B&Ms as they're my favorite manufacturer, and I feel a lot of people really enjoy them. And it's definitely one that would be higher up in the escalation part, and I think it could be one of the top attractions in the park, but not very best, and I think it'd be a good fit. And honestly, I just couldn't see a park being the ultimate Six Flags park without a flying coaster, but maybe that's just me. Now let's do Six Flags Great Adventure. This one, I was really considering Kingda Ka to have a really star launch roller coaster, but I did end up settling on what everyone else wants it to be, El Toro. I think because pretty much every other wooden roller coaster in the Six Flags chain is great, but not outstanding at best, El Toro was an important one to have. Do keep in mind, RMC wooden coasters are also good, but there are reasons why I'm not having any of those in here. So Great Adventure, El Toro, that being basically the star attraction of the park, I think very few would be upset with that. It has the great airtime, and it's definitely one that roller coaster enthusiasts will love, and I think it would really complement Tatsu as one of the best rides in the park. Now let's do Six Flags Great America. There are a lot of rides I was considering. I was thinking maybe they have a B&M Hyper and Raging Bull at the park. Maybe I'd use Batman the Ride for this one, add in Goliath possibly. Max Force is a great launch coaster, but instead, I settled on Whizzer. Why? Because it is possibly the most beloved family roller coaster in the Six Flags chain. And I mentioned, this has to be a well-rounded layout. So because of that, I want the lineup to include a really strong family roller coaster. And I don't think it can get much better than Whizzer. So I definitely think it's a good one to have in the park. Now let's talk Six Flags New England. I did decide that one of the top two roller coasters here will be repping it. Will it be Superman the Ride or Wicked Cyclone? I lean toward Superman the Ride. I will get to another one later that's kinda tough and makes the decision very difficult for New England. But Superman the Ride is my favorite traditional hyper roller coaster. I just think it's a fantastic one. And to have that in the park, I think that complementing El Toro and Tatsu, phenomenal. And it does contribute to some of the best parts of the whole thing. Now let's talk about Six Flags Over Texas. This one has plenty that could have gone in. I opted not to have one of the major thrilling ones though. No New Texas Giant because it's not really one of the best RMC hybrids. No Mr. Freeze because while it is a great launch coaster, I felt like there were other things I wanted to have in their place. And I'm not going to be doing Runaway Mountain for the family coaster. I'm having one that's kind of a middle ground, partially because of its height requirement. That is Shockwave. Shockwave is among the most beloved roller coasters in the park, though it's not really one of the giant intense ones. It's very fun, I love the airtime, and I think it's a popular one even amongst families to an extent. So this one would be a very good part of that escalation factor, and it's also a great ride to wrap the park. Now for Six Flags Over Georgia. This one, there are a lot of roller coasters I could have put in. Maybe a B&M Hyper and Goliath, maybe Twisted Cyclone. Actually, no, that wasn't even considered, really. But Daredevil Dive was my choice. I feel like having one Gerstlauer is a good thing to do for this park. I know they're not the most beloved rides out there, but I think Daredevil Dive is underrated, and definitely deserves to be in a park like this, because at Over Georgia, it's definitely one of my favorite roller coasters. So to have that here, it would definitely be a really strong supporting roller coaster with how many other great ones there are. Speaking of which, Six Flags Fiesta Texas. For this one, I am choosing one of the top two. Will it be Iron Rattler or Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster? I chose Wonder Woman. I think an RMC single rail would be a fantastic one to have in the ultimate well-rounded Six Flags park. And I think because Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster is widely considered the best of the single rails, it was important to have that one here. Now for Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. This one, I was not certain, because the thrilling ones didn't seem quite right, and I don't want to add something weak like Kong, but I ended up going with Medusa. The B&M Floorless here is another B&M to go in the park, and so far, it's the second one. I think it's one of the best B&M Floorless roller coasters, and I don't think it's really one that a lot of people would choose as the go-to kind of B&M to put in a park. But I think if we were to have a flying coaster and a floorless coaster, that covers two of the three main bases for B&Ms besides the Hyper Giga Coaster. But I think Superman the Ride and El Toro kind of cover the best parts of that. So a B&M Hyper is not necessary. Now for Six Flags Mexico. And remember in New England I said there was a reason why I didn't choose Wicked Cyclone? Well, this one, serious contention between the top two here as well. Superman at Ultimo Escape and Medusa Steel Coaster. I opted for Medusa because I love Superman the Ride more than the park, but I can see we're swapping which one is the Superman Hyper and which one has the RMC Hybrid. But for now, I'm going to say Medusa Steel Coaster, despite the fact there's now two Medusas in the park, is the one that will be representing Six Flags Mexico in this lineup. Now to a lesser park, Six Flags America, one that most people don't really love. So what will we be adding? Well, certainly not going to be adding the flying type roller coaster and Batwing because we already have that, or another Superman Hyper. Instead, I will do Joker's Jinx. A fun launch coaster, not an elite one per se, but very enjoyable. And I think a lot of people would definitely want to have that in the park, at least some Premier Rides launch coaster. I know there's a lot of better ones, but because I want to have Tatsu in there, and I want to have Shockwave, we're going to leave it at that. And speaking of launch coasters, Darien Lake, I will be using Moto Coaster. For two reasons. One, it has another launch coaster to the lineup, and two, the fact that it's a family coaster. I don't want to have all thrill coasters as I mentioned, so this one helps with that escalation, being below Shockwave, but above a few others I will name soon. But now we gotta talk about Six Flags St. Louis. And I was considering putting Pandemonium in here because it's a very good spinning coaster and a staple of Six Flags parks as far as family rides go, but I went with Batman the Ride. I feel like having a Batman the Ride is vital, and that's the third of the three bases I was talking about for B&Ms besides the Hyper. So if we have a flying coaster, floorless coaster, and inverted coaster, that's perfect. That's like the holy trinity of intense looping B&Ms. And Batman the Ride is an underrated model overall, and while St. Louis doesn't have the best one, they're all close in quality, so I don't think anyone would mind if it's this one instead of a different one. Now let's move to everyone's least favorite, La Ronde. La Ronde has some good thrilling coasters, but they are already kind of covered by other ones. So we're going to go with the family coaster, Dragon. This indoor roller coaster is probably a bit below Moto Coaster in terms of thrill, so I think it'd be a very nice one to have. It's not necessarily the top of the lineup, not even close actually, but I think it's a very good family coaster to have in the park. Nice theming on the inside, and one that I think will help with the escalation aspect. Now for the Great Escape. Great Escape, the family coasters are unspectacular, so I did not want to add them, and I'm going with Comet. That would make this the second wooden roller coaster in the park, and honestly, I feel Comet is a great one. I wanted to have two wooden roller coasters, and I could have done Predator, or Viper, or a whole lot of others, but I feel because of all the other ones I wanted to add in, it's good to have Comet. And that leaves one final park, Frontier City. I don't think Silver Bullet, or Diamondback, or Steel Lasso, or Wildcat are really anything special or necessary additions to the lineup. So Frontier City will be the park giving us a kiddie coaster. Frankie's Mine Train is a pretty fun kiddie coaster. I know because I have experienced it. And because most parks do have a coaster for the youngest thrill seekers, I think it is an important one to have, so Frontier City is serving the lineup well. So overall, our lineup consists of 15 roller coasters that include some great airtime woodies, some strong B&M loopers, intimate hyper roller coaster, 2 launch coasters, a kiddie coaster, some strong family ones, 3 or 4 total, and overall, I think a very strong lineup. If I were to rank the roller coasters here based on my opinion and also the general opinion of roller coaster enthusiasts, number 15 would be Frankie's Mine Train, number 14 would be Dragon, 13 would be Moto Coaster, 12 would be Whizzer, 11 would be Joker's Jinx, 10 would be Shockwave, 9 would be Comet, 8 would be Batman the Ride B&M Invert, 7 would be Daredevil Dive, 6 would be Medusa Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, 5 would be Tatsu, 4 would be Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster, number 3 would be Superman the Ride, number 2 would be Medusa Steel Coaster, and the top dog of the park is El Toro. Now, the biggest flaw in the lineup that I've created, I think, is the fact that the launch coasters are not really that awesome. They're good, but not great. One is family-oriented, and the other is among the weaker launch coasters out there. That said, this lineup is very hard to beat, I think. The fact that Joker's Jinx is number 3 or 4 at its park, and number 11 here, I think speaks to how many great roller coasters we were able to pack in while keeping the lineup well-rounded. And that is the ultimate Six Flags Park lineup, according to me. What would you change about this? Comment down below, like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more theme park content. I'll see you next time.